Hello, lovely viewers. It's a beautiful day here on City Star TV today, and this is your favorite show, Abaatanye. And I'm Nanaya, your host, as always. As you know, on Abaatanye, we discuss our parenthood journeys, how it starts from our pregnancy to the childbirth to raising our babies. On today's episode, I get to share with you my pregnancy journey. Yes, indeed, I'm a mother, and I have a 6-year-old baby girl, and I get to share with you today how that all came into being. And as I remind you all the time, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our other exciting episodes. If you haven't followed us on social media, it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The name is City Star TV. Kindly do so right now, and we'll be right back. Welcome right back to Abaatanye. I'm your host, Nanaya, and on today's episode, like I said earlier, I'm going to share with you my pregnancy journey and how I came to be a mother. I'm going to tell you how I discovered I was pregnant in the first place. So it was during the weekend, way late in September 2015. Actually, I was out with some friends, and then I ran into some friends. Previously, I'd been feeling sick. I had these nausea and headaches. Basically say it told me cramp na me boom me because my drink cramp say it could be say I'm pregnant. And so I ran into a friend and he was like, "Oh, Nana, I mean, watch you. What's the why I can see? I don't want mana." So when he actually made that comment, it dawned on me that it's been a while since I last experienced my menstrual cycle. So I went back home and then I bought a pregnancy test. And I went home and I took the first one and it came out positive. Now, the next thing I did was go out to a pharmacy and I bought 5 more pregnancy tests. I came back home, I did a second one, it was positive. Third, fourth, fifth, same thing. And I sat down and was like, wow, this is actually happening. So my next move was I opened my fridge and then I had a couple of alcoholic drinks in my fridge. So I just took out all the alcoholic drinks in my fridge and I went out and I gave them to somebody because I'm in person with you, kind of what I say, to me the chair will be. Then I came to sit down, I realized that this is happening. I'm actually about to be a mother, I'm pregnant, I'm carrying a fetus in my womb, and I made a decision that I was going to keep this pregnancy and I was going to experience this journey. So the next day, I went to La Paz Community Hospital. They are next at Kisiman, Achimota, where I lived at the time, and I started my antenatal care. So I went and I took my first scan, where they discovered I actually was pregnant, more than 8 weeks pregnant at the time. And I started my antenatal care, and then it went on. I was also enrolled in media school at the time, but we were traveling a lot, and apparently that movement wasn't healthy for me because now Emma had some pains, abdominal pains, and if you go to the hospital, they'll tell you, say, when you are pregnant, that's when your abdominal pains are. It's not a good thing. So, what say your previous episodes need be a first trimester, especially a very sensitive time. So, within this time, I was still within my first trimester, and I wasn't really experiencing a lot of nausea and sicknesses like other people, but not many abdominal pains and say it's bad. So, I went to the hospital where I was told, say, I was telling me taking things slow. And, I was told I was a little anemic and I was put on medication. So I had to pause on the schooling thing because me is to kind of brain and apparently it was affecting me. I continued with my antenatal and then I moved on. I relocated from Machimota and I came to Abaatanye. So then I continued my antenatal at Kaneshi Polyclinic. Then I went through my first trimester, came to an end. I went to my second trimester. We started from 13th week to I think about my 16th week, and I went through my second trimester. It was interesting. Me cravings, no, and it was really weird. So a lot of pregnant women out there will relate with me. Say, yeah, ni ma de but there is this thing out there called obi eni me de say the clean you. Ebi mu ka say a grounded bone. It's called shre or ayelo. I don't know why, but for some really, really weird reason, I was really drawn to this thing to say, me, not mean that. But the very first time I smelled this during my second trimester, it's like I wanted to stuff my mouth. The first time it's 10 pieces, so it was a habit I picked up at the time. I also realized that some of my favorite foods and me enjoy before I was pregnant. That is, I love noodles, actually. me ye campona, it begins to smell really weird. Maybe and I'll go through the stress of actually cooking my favorite food and then it stings. A me. I can't stand the smell. I'm throwing up or I can't eat the food. And foods I wasn't usually like really into, those are the food I actually started liking. And another weird thing I experienced during my second trimester was my love for cold stuff. Like and quite made made in hot and made it. I just made the fridge mama now you really cold, almost frozen. It's you see me in front of my fridge in the middle of the night, not me to say frozen soup, not me. And that is my experience in my second trimester. And my love for salt, which actually gave me some things and some problems later on. I'll talk to you about that when I get to my third trimester. So it was right around my second trimester, my fifth month, that I went for a scan again whilst I was still going through my antenatal at Kaneshi Polyclinic. And I took the scan and they checked the sex of my baby, and I got the good news that I was going to have a baby girl. And I was so happy because I wanted a baby girl, so God had answered my prayer. So I did the scan. I found I was going to have a bouncing baby girl, and then they gave me a list of things to put together. So that's when I realized, hey, Charlie, this thing is really happening. No, there's a baby growing inside me, not just a baby, bouncing baby girl. And I needed to, start getting prepared. So my baby daddy and I, we started putting things in place, started putting stuff that we are going to need in place. And then my second trimester went on. I didn't really have any complications at the time. Everything had been resolved as of then. Then I entered my third trimester. We started from my 7th month. That's where my love for salt became a problem, because I needed to stop, because this is to all pregnant women out there. Salt, it doesn't help us at all. I needed to stop taking salt, but it was a bad craving for me that even if I eat mechinkosia crampona me fat raw salt na me de apete so na me necessary, because if not again can pon me day adwane we be ka hwe apugu say ade wo safi apuase no. That is what I actually find tasty, because I don't know me day. That is how bad I was craving salt, and that's how I got edema, and that is how I was swollen. Like my body, I became so big, and it wasn't fat. It was just that my body, my flesh was swollen. When I go to antenatal midwives, somebody do what because some catch us at the end of and yet you're pregnant, you're not supposed to be taking that kind of that quantity of salt into your system, but I was. So my feet was swollen, my arms, my thigh, every single part, especially my belly. So at 8 months, I looked like my chemukram in 9th month, 10th month, but my tummy became really big. And what the one saw, wow, you could actually press it so much a bit tone. That should say any fatal. I say repercussions of the salts now made in amanabroso. So I was put on medication for a while. Which helped. And also I began to experience Charlie, it is that time where I would that one down. Because the baby is kicking like crazy. Like she's really active. I say for a one point, I was even doubting, so your baby girl, I mean, you can say you're your boy, our baby footballer, because Oshapona, the kicking, the activities, giddy. It didn't even make sense. What I say, Madame left side. I said, Mommy, I had your main pneu. No, I kick him. And I turned around, and I was peeing like crazy because she's right there on my bladder, and every 10 seconds, they are just on me. And walking with a very big tummy, thanks to my edema, swollen feet, which was painful, that I could barely walk. I could feel it actually hurts when I walk until I don't know whether it resolved it, and then I became okay again. So sleeping positions for somebody who previously nanka, I like to sleep flat on my belly, na my relax it. I couldn't do that anymore. Madame aside. No, sorry, no, matnasi. Sometimes I could even sleep like this. It's not me say. Cause me who that perfect sleeping position now made that I'm comfortable. No? Cause there was nothing like that. I had to make do with what I could get. And then I entered into my 9th month, and that's when things started getting interesting. I say Braxton Hicks, so then I was experiencing a lot of pains in my waist and my lower abdomen. I remember once I was actually I had diarrhea for a while. I went to the hospital and I was told, say, means me ain't having any medication, so I was put on ORS. But then I was in my ninth month. It's my ninth month journey now, baby, yo. That means I'm about to tell you about my labor journey, and that is where the excitement and the education is. It's keep watching, don't move. I'll be right back. So I'm back, and before I left, I told you, say, yeah, about the right interesting part, me about the starting my labor journey. If you remember on the previous episode before this one, a beautiful midwife Yvonne Teta was here to talk to us about the stages of labor. Now, me know what the family some stages now me really mono. So on Thursday, which is actually 7th April 2016, Obaatanye, sorry, I'm waddling around because I will call what I was doing walking. Oh, I'm bloated, I'm big, I'm heavy, and I'm waddling around. And I go to my washroom to pee for like the 50th time that day. And I noticed a very thick mucus thing just drop down my feet. Of course, I freaked out. Then I go back and I call my mom. Mama, besha baby. So she comes and then and she tells me, say, it's a good thing. It means that I'm going into labor. And all at once, I froze because it means my baby is coming. I'm about to see my baby. And I was happy and I was excited. At the same time, I was very nervous. So my stuff were packed. You're calling your family. I've been going for my antenatal care at Kaneshi Polyclinic, so that's where we headed. We took a taxi and then we got to Kaneshi Polyclinic. I remember walking into the maternity labor ward at the time, and then when I got there, I saw another lady. She was also equally pregnant. You could tell that she was in labor. And on Nancy Koba, and she was in pain because she's like all break. And then one midwife, I was standing there. It wasn't funny, oh. And yes, I be me near, but I hate you. But and yes, sorry. But me just a lady named Kobana and any na meaning. But for some reason, I'm sorry. It's a one midwife who will be say. Na me yet then will honor. So me back antenatal care. Yeah, I'm at the wrong place. I'm say, oh, Debbie, I'm in labor. Oshamisa standing there and laughing. I say, you are in labor. Mama so I na yato ntino awaka no. Oshame no oshame mama so mama oba no ogina ho na osere no. Awon kan you. Sa waka na mpa kenye so ogina ho na osere ti mun san kofi. Awaka na mama be ho na maba. Honestly, she wasn't lying. At that time, I was nowhere near my labor because if indeed I was laughing, I wasn't in labor. So we took her word. We came back home. That was on that Thursday. We got home. I went back to my room. My mom advised, say, oh, make some squatting, be me nante. It will speed the process. And I began to do so. So midnight, towards the midnight, I think a little after 11 p.m., that is when the pain started. And then that pain, I didn't say in previous one. So I told my mother, say, pain, I didn't. You can go back to the hospital. So maybe this was the pain the midwife was talking about. Send them in do, baby. Yeah. So we went back to the hospital, and I told them, say, maybe a whole later in the day, earlier in the day now. You see the pain on why you're doing it. I'm more examining me. So then they admitted me over, and then they examined me and told me, say, African American, it's pain in the meant to me. It's on my where they actually the labor ward for Bibamoji and so that was where there was a spare bed and they had me lie down. And what I noticed was and I was advised to sleep on my left side a lot. So now Yvonne told you on our previous episode. So if you haven't watched that episode on the stages of labor, please do so. Go and watch the stages of labor as Yvonne talks to you about this type of thing. So she will explain to you why it's very good to sleep on your left side. You see, they made me sleep on my left side a lot. And then people will come in, other ladies will come in, they'll have their baby, and then they'll leave. Now we've entered into Friday, and I'm there, and I'm not having my baby, and I'm in pain. So midday through Friday, which was 8th April, a midwife suggested, say, or no baby something, me baby daddy wine, and I'm sure, or no say, make a trying to say, it will be best we get together again. So it speeds up the process. Apparently, say if you're in labor and that's in content, you need to do what made you pregnant in the first place, no, to speed up the process. And so I had to call my baby daddy. Say when I shall see you, and say Brana baby, what you say? To me call and I'm afraid I'm say me that is not happening because this is a person who is in pain. We show bad cramp or not. So when I said no, yeah, next and all brain in you, and I was losing fluids a bit too. Papa, oh yeah, they cramp or not. Or see on wow. Even if you are willing, cramp, but the new cramp was on wow and waiting. So I went back home that Friday in hopes that I can actually go do what started the whole thing in the first place to help me end it. But that didn't happen. So later Friday evening, I realized that my pain and the rate at which I was losing fluids was too bad. So I went back to the hospital and they admitted me. This time around, they put me amongst and then the nurses or the midwife realized say, I was losing a lot of fluids and the rate at which I was losing fluids, and I made dilation, I may do 1 centimeter. And Madam Yvonne talked to us about how much it needs to be dilated before they can actually tell you to start pushing. It is a one share. I keep reminding you, go watch the stages of labor and then watch as your midwife educates you on that. It's not may do 1 centimeter pay. So me do baby ayo. But then I was losing fluids and they told me say my baby can get an infection, so they put me on antibiotics. And that was Friday evening. I was on it. Me say a whole word need dear. Am I to air the soundtrack coming from that word was amazing. Cause yeah, he came with very midwife see crown, but just say wait him, wait to soprano, wait to alto, wait to your what you say, and I yes and the break. And Saturday morning, still my midwife about to examine me. I'm still 1 centimeter. I've been there from mind you, it's from Thursday, me Saturday, still 1 centimeter. The pain is it's too bad. I'm crying. That's when they realized saying, nah, some AE has to come in. So they started giving me some medication. They made me walk around. I was being taken around. Say from the last time I remember even eating, cry Friday before, yeah, baba to the hospital. So my mom had a meal. I wasn't even hungry. I didn't come on your day and don't come. So the Saturday again, yeah, go through Saturdays, still nothing. See, when we entered into Sunday, I'd been there from Friday evening to Sunday morning, over 36 hours. Nothing was changing. I'm still 1 centimeter. That's when my midwife advised me, say, it might get to a time where they will not have the capacity to actually handle my case. So it's best they transfer me. So they gave me a transfer to go to Ridge Hospital, and I took my transfer letter. Now, my pregnancy journey, it wasn't easy. I had a lot of help. My family, my baby daddy, a lot of friends helped me through it. On this very day, I met a saint because he was a total stranger. Brapat, I don't know where you are. He's a taxi driver at Malam. It's sad we've lost touch, but this man actually helped save my life. He's one of the most kindest person I've ever met on this earth. So when I had my transfer letter, I had to go to Reach. My mom stepped out there. Luckily, she met the taxi driver I'm talking about. We packed my stuff from Carnegie Polyclinic, took my transfer letter, and then we went to Reach Hospital. When we got there, they examined me, they took my vitals, I went through the whole thing again. They checked my BP, which was rising. By the way, my BP in the corner not air cholesterol. So you do Reach, And then I'm examining me, I'm stressing on my case in the corner, I'm catching me say, they don't have the theater that can handle my case. So I'm very famous. I call 37 military hospital. So once again, I was being taken away from another hospital to another hospital. So the driver was still there with us. Actually, no boy, and he waited. So once we got that information, he helped me once again to take my things back into his car, and then he drove us to 37. This was a very bad experience because I was losing fluid so much. Say, my tire was drained, was drenched. My mom was carrying stuff. My driver was carrying stuff. And we walked into 37. We walked into 37 military hospital. I walked into the labor ward and hold on, I'll be right back. So now I'm at 37 military hospital and I take my things out of the car. The driver is still there helping. My mom is carrying stuff. My driver is carrying stuff. We had some people, some nearby people who saw how badly I was suffering that helped me walk in. And the minute I walked into the labor ward, okay, it's blurry, but I walked in to an office where there was a female doctor actually in her coat and everything. And I walked in, she's like, "What are you here for?" And I tell her, it's obvious I'm a pregnant woman in labor, but let me give her the benefit of the doubt that she doesn't know. I walk in, I tell her that I'm in labor. I've been in labor for the last 3 days, and I was referred from Ridge Hospital. And this woman literally, her next words to me was, "Get out of my office." That is what she said to me. "Get out, get out, get out. You need bed." And the woman ni papa has say, "Na bed ben on bed so. Come say you see any bed." That's what she told me. And my mom was like, "Ya ko no almost some ain't see me mo den. Mo come you need bed. Mo say say you need bed." And it was very, very bad. They basically threw us out. They wouldn't even take the letter to read what my condition was or why they referred us to that place. They wouldn't even listen to us. They basically threw us out. That was when I told my mom that it's getting bad. So it's a young private hospital. Because what I say, and your government so we went back. Mind you, this driver was still with us. He's still carrying my stuff. And then he helped me put my stuff in. I tell him, "Let's go to La Paz community." That's where I started my antenatal in the first place. So we moved from 37, and then we didn't go to the annex where I started, which was Kittyman. We went to the main at La Paz, and then we got there. There was a midwife on duty that day when I got to the labor ward, and she was very helpful. I got there, she examined me, she realized what was going on, and then she told me, "Say, a similar case like mine just passed through, but they can't handle it. So they transferred the lady to La General Hospital. So it's best I also go to La General Hospital." So I was being transferred again. I moved from Kaneshin to Ridge to 37 to La Paz community, and now they're telling me to go to La General Hospital. So this lady gave me another referral papers to go to La General Hospital. Once again, Brad, the taxi driver, my mom, they packed my stuff back into the car, and then we drove to La General Hospital. And this way, most of the story I have, it was told to me after I came to, because apparently when we got to La General Hospital, I hadn't eaten since Friday. I was so exhausted. I had lost so much fluid that the minute I stepped out of the car, I passed out. So apparently I passed out. Some people standing by caught me so I didn't fall. And then they brought a wheelchair because the labor ward is on the second floor. And the escalator the lift they had was having some issues. So they put me in a wheelchair and forced someone to carry me up 2 flights of stairs to the labor ward. There was a midwife on duty that day. Her name was Erica. You are one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. One of the most patient, tolerable, and tolerating midwives I've ever met. Because I know, I didn't make it easy for you, but you were very gentle, you were very patient with me. So I was losing a lot of fluids. When I came to, apparently I was so hungry, I told my mom I wanted banku. And everybody was laughing at me. So I felt like my body was on fire because they giving me some injections, and I was on drip. Whatever fluid they injected was basically making me feel like my body is on fire. And they're also giving me something to help speed up the dilating so I can dilate faster. And because of how much I was losing fluids, they didn't know which one of them was fluid from the placenta or from the baby. They didn't know which one was pee, so they also inserted a catheter to help me. So I had a bag strapped to my leg, and I was in the gown, and then I was there. They kept on examining me. Sunday around 3 p.m. After 9 p.m., I was barely 3 centimeters, but at least it was dilating. And they checked my HB. I think that is a technical thing. It has something to do with your blood. And they realized that I was losing blood as well. So my HB was really low, my BP was really high. So that was when my doctor suggested that the rate at which things are happening, it looks like my chances at natural birth, it's being riskier by the minute. It's becoming riskier by the minute. So that was when he suggested that I had a cesarean, a C-section. And at that time, with what I was going through, my throat was so dry. And because they were opting for CS, I was told not to drink or eat anything. So my throat was so dry. I was in so much pain. I was crying so much. I would have done literally anything to end it all. So when he offered or suggested a CS, I just jumped at it. I signed all the papers I needed to. And then it was planned. On Monday, 11th April, early morning, they came. They took me to the theater. I was given an injection on my lower back, but I was told not to sleep. Apparently, they don't let you sleep through the cesarean anymore. I was made to stay awake. Now my brain so much so I'm warm me panic na ya on a call from kakra no. Anyway, any my start say that. Me ton kwa ni abome. Mami Venice to any many. Then the nurses were trying to engage me in some conversation so I don't drift off. So they allow me drift off for a while, they wake me up, they allow me drift off for a while, they wake me up until the last time they tapped me, they pull out my baby. You remember when I told you I love Shree? Yeah. One of the things is it makes your baby look gray when they come out. Because my baby was gray. For a while, it even scared me. They took out my baby, and this is a gray baby, like shankasa. From all the Shree I had been eating, I've been eating. And then they put the baby on my chest. And they asked me, "Can I see my baby?" And I said, "Yes, I can see my baby." And they asked me, "Is it a boy or a girl?" And I say, "It's a girl." And they put her on my chest. And I remember feeling that moment alone, that moment where they put my baby on my chest and I actually saw my baby, even though I wasn't really conscious, I've never felt that kind of happiness, that kind of joy. It made all the pain I'd gone through the last 4 days absolutely worth it. So they took my baby away. They told me they were going to dress her up and bring her later on. I was stitched up. I was taken to the recovery room. And where the midwives continue, they came there to check some of the shit. Say a true baby will honoma. There was some yam kakra. And she said baby we true being came we are. They came. I might have dressed up and woken up like 50 times because I'm saying me busa antiness and me bane we mbe. And then finally the next time I opened my eyes, she was there with my baby. I took my baby. They laid her right next to me, and I looked at her and her adorable little face, and it was absolutely the most magical moment of my life. She lay there next to me, and I was told that my mom and my baby daddy can be allowed to come in and come and see me now. And I remember the first thing my baby daddy said when he walked in and saw my baby was, "Thank you." And my mom walked in and she saw the kid and me, and she was grateful. My experience was not like every other person. Because whilst I was in the labor ward, people came in and within 30 minutes they had their babies. Or people put to care more or no what kind you will feel no coffee can or no bano. Or what kind before they even got there. But mine was a 4-day journey with its own complications that was something else. But at the end of the day, thanks to God, I survived it. I got my baby, and then everything continued from there. It's also been its own story on its own since that day. But till then, that was my journey. That was my experience, and it was amazing. It was painful. It was the worst day and the best, happiest day of my life. So that is my pregnancy journey. That is what I went through to have my baby. If you have your story, if you want to share with us, you can leave it in the comments page. You can get in touch with us Our social media handles on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter is City Star TV. Always YouTube channel City Star TV. Subscribe. The notification bell is waiting for you, so you get every update. You get prompted on every episode that we have. We have other amazing programs on the channel as well. Don't forget to subscribe. I keep reminding you. I'm your host. This has been Abaatanye. This has been my motherhood experience. Thank you for sticking through. See you next time.